What's up? It's Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here in Austin, Texas for a very important national media event for this vehicle right here. This is it. This is the all-new 2022 Toyota Corolla Cross. But before we get into this smaller size crossover SUV that's packing a big, spacious punch, let's talk about what's going on here. Toyota, that iconic Japanese brand, really building a name for itself on reliability. They want to take that Corolla name to the next level, and they say that this vehicle is it. Now, the interesting thing is that the Corolla has been around since 1960, if you could believe that. First sold in Japan, so many different versions of that iconic car, and people went to it for that trusted reliability and overall drivability. Now, in the model year 2022, they decided to take that name and kind of bring a little bit more to the table for this vehicle. Now, believe it or not, this past month, Toyota sold its 50 millionth Corolla worldwide, and that's just gonna grow on top of what we're looking at. Now, this Corolla Cross, where does it slide into their lineup? It actually slides perfectly between the CH-R, which is gonna be smaller, and the RAV4, which is gonna be a little bit larger. And what Toyota is saying is that it's really about bringing some sporty style, but all the goodies that people love about the Corolla into a crossover SUV. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this one and see, is it worth going the Corolla Cross route, or maybe one of its main competitors, that Subaru Crosstrek, or even the Honda HR-V? Let's dive in. We got a Cypress green example. Have they struck gold with the Corolla Cross? Right off the bat, unique style. I'm actually digging the way that this Corolla Cross looks. It's much sportier than a RAV4. Now, when we start at the front of the business, you're gonna notice, first of all, Cypress green. It's a new color, nice metallic metal flake to it. I really love the way they did the LED daytime running lamps, LED headlights. That is gonna come standard. Now, when you go XLE trim, this is a top XLE trim, if you work your way down, you're gonna get LED fog lamps. That's something to think about if you wanna go to that top trim. But what I really love is, thank you, Toyota, no fake vents, nothing stuck on, just nice, beautiful body lines that have been brought into the front fascia. Now, on this lower section, you're gonna have flat black. I'm glad that they did that, because that's gonna take a better beating over time. And the wonderful news is, just like the RAV4, you have about 8 inches of ground clearance. Because remember, this comes standard front wheel drive, but you can get all-wheel drive on the different versions of the Corolla Cross. Now, as we come across that front grille area, you see some unique style. I love the way that they went with this metallic black finish on all the intricate detail, the Toyota badge in the center, and when you go XLE trim, you're gonna get that bright metallic silver all the way around the perimeter. I think one of the things that helps make this smaller SUV look a little aggressive is the way that they drop down that trim on each side. It gives it a nice flow. You're gonna have your flat black, working your way down to the lower opening, all flat black with the Cypress green along the bottom, and there are those LED fog lamps that I was telling you about. But really, really great style, especially on the headlight housing, the way that it comes and almost touches the grille, but not quite close enough. Really looking great. Now, when we get up onto that hood, clean body lines. You're gonna have a rise on the top of the grille area, and it's gonna go right towards the 8 pillars. Even a slight bend. It's hard to see, but if you notice, there's a slight bend to the hood, and then you're gonna have a little bit of a kick up as you get towards the windshield. Now, coming around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So depending on which trim you go with, and there's gonna be 3 trims, L, LE, and XLE. If you go with an L, that's gonna give you a steel wheel, 17-inch with a hubcap. LE, it's gonna be a 17-inch aluminum wheel, and then you go with these 18-inch wheels on the XLE trim. You'll notice how they made some really beautiful grooves. They machined some grooves into some of the spokes of the wheel, machined aluminum all the way around with that nice metallic gunmetal gray finish. This being front wheel drive, you can get it all wheel drive, and you do have that flat black around the fender treatment, and I'm glad that they didn't make it as angular as on the RAV4. I think it helps just clean up the style. Another thing you're gonna notice is that there's lots of Easter eggs with the overall design. Plus, if you look like on the headlight housing, it actually has the Corolla Cross name inside the headlight housing, which just helps make that kind of connection with what this vehicle is. Now, going down the fender, beautiful body line. You're gonna notice how it has a flared fender look. Look at that boomerang shape. That's what the designer really dreamt about, was taking these boomerangs on the fenders and then creating the rest of the vehicle around it. I think this style, like I said, gives it that nice, sporty, adventurous look to it. You're gonna get color matched on the mirror caps, LED turn signals built in, bright shiny metalwork just on the top. And if you notice, look at how it flows into the C-pillar and kind of flares out into almost like a butter knife style with the Corolla Cross name. They're very, very proud of Corolla, and they're definitely very proud of this new Corolla Cross to put the name all over the vehicle. You're gonna have nice low flat black roof rails. You could get your cross bars for all sorts of accessories. 29 separate Toyota approved accessories for this vehicle. Here's that rear fender flare coming out in the back. There's that boomerang shape I was telling you about, but the design for such a small SUV, they really brought out all the design elements. Coming around the back, what do we got? Just like we started up front, you're gonna have LED taillights, just like we have the LED headlights. The way that they extend the housing out with the gloss black makes it look so wide that it doesn't feel like a small SUV. I mean, it's a little bit more narrow than a RAV4, but not much. It's about the same height as a RAV4. Corolla Cross badge looking clean. You got your Toyota badge. Yes, there's a rear wiper, but at this level of vehicle, we're not gonna zonk that. You have a stubby low roof spoiler with a color matched shark fin antenna, XLE trim, nothing else. And then as we drop all the way down to the bottom, super clean. Now, the one thing I am gonna zonk is I wish that at least on the XLE trim, they would have gave a finished exhaust pipe on each side, just to kind of balance it out. Nice brushed aluminum would have looked really clean. But other than that, front to back, good size. Let's pop the hood and see what's powering our Corolla Cross. Guys, we got the hood pop, but before we dive in, I wanna showcase, we turned the hazards on so you could see those LED turn signals nicely placed in the headlight housing, and the XLE trim gets actually a better looking daytime running lamp than the other trims. Another thing before we dive in is that design philosophy. There's actually these Easter eggs, and this is one of the big ones where you could see the design sketch that started the overall flow of the Corolla Cross. There's about 20 of those all over this vehicle. And that's, like I'm saying, that this isn't something that Toyota just slapped together. They're very proud of this vehicle. Now, underneath the hood, comparing it to the RAV4, comparing it to the Crosstrek, but definitely the RAV4, you're not gonna get the same exact power. You're gonna be getting something familiar, obviously, from the Corolla, since this is the Corolla Cross. So you're looking at that tried and true 2-liter inline-4 engine that's gonna produce 169 horsepower, 159 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a CVT, so we are gonna zonk that. But remember, Toyota's CVT is a little bit different because they actually have a gear for first, and then it switches over to the belt system. Front wheel drive or all wheel drive, 0 to 60, not the fastest of SUVs, but that's not what this is supposed to be. 0 to 60 in around 8.9 seconds. It weighs around 3,350 pounds, but here's where you're gonna be the real winner, especially comparing it to the RAV4 MPGs. In the city with the front wheel drive, 31 in the city, 33 in the highway. All wheel drive is going to be 29 on the city and 32 on the highway. Now, the one thing that I wish that it did have that the RAV4 has is that 8-speed automatic transmission. Toyota is also claiming that there is going to be some type of hybrid version that is set to hit. No plans on it yet on exact date, but stay tuned for that. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interior and see what big things are in store for this smaller Corolla Cross. All right, guys, here we are inside this Cypress Green 2022 Corolla Cross XLE trim. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking at a RAV4, but I decided to hold off because I heard about this Corolla Cross on Raiti's Rides, and I wanted to see more. So how much is it? You're gonna have to wait for that. There is an embargo on pricing and driving impressions, but stay tuned. September 8th, 7 a.m. Eastern time. We will be bringing it all to you with a totally separate review with that information. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to that door panel and see what you're gonna be getting for the money. To the door panels, you're gonna notice, once again, that crossover with the Corolla. You're gonna have that two-tone material, the beige with that mocha brown on the armrest. Looks very tasteful. Everything is flat black with a little bit of silver, so you're not gonna have to worry about fingerprints. Door pocket is a little tight, so if you're gonna go to Chipotle, one burrito, no guac. Guac costs extra anyways, and a bottle of Mountain Dew to wash it down. Now, when you go from the door panel to the dash, same story. It's all about Corolla, and that's not a bad thing. You got the optional JBL sound system on the XLE trim. It is hard touch up top, but you do have soft touch in the center, which is great. This is where you're gonna have that familiarity with many of the Toyota products, including the RAV4. That is that 8-inch infotainment system. It does have Apple CarPlay, it does have Android Auto, and of course, Sirius XM. Is it a touchscreen? You better bet your bottom dollar. Very easy to use. Let me throw it into reverse. I was hoping for a little bit better camera resolution, but the great news is, watch this. It takes up all 8 inches and it has trajectory. And like I say, if you have 8 inches, use that whole 8 inches. Sliding down, it's so awesome how the Corolla styling and inside interior pieces fits this crossover SUV so well. You're gonna have your dual climate control with the digital readouts. You got your push button start, which is great to have. Makes it easy so you can keep the key fob in your pocket. The simulated stitching. You do have a USB and 2 heated seats, but the big news is on the XLE trim, you have wireless charging. So that's really nice with the Apple CarPlay and the Android Auto. This is gonna control the CVT transmission, soft touch, even on the shift boot. Now there is some gloss black, but here's the good news. If you get a fingerprint like right there, get your official Toyota napkin. Has to be a Toyota napkin, and you could rub that fingerprint right off. Everything else, like I said, is Corolla with your 2 cup holders, nice high armrest, that mocha brown with the stitching. Open it up, what can we fit in there? Probably about 6 Twinkies. If you go any further, you're gonna squirt cream all over the interior. You do have a 12 volt, and here is the updated Toyota key fob with that rear hatch that you could open and the Toyota badge. Very light, and the good news is it's not gonna pull your pants down when you have it in your pocket. Seats, that soft-tex material, love the stitching. It's really gonna wear well, and I'm telling you, they're so comfortable with the mocha and the beige cream color. You do have manual adjustment on this particular XLE, but over here on the driver's side, I have a 10-way electric adjustable seat. Looking at the dimensions, I almost feel like I'm in the RAV4. It doesn't feel like you're sacrificing interior space, and I love the layout of how everything is placed like a Corolla. Plus, you have a standard size sunroof, which is a nice touch. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of this new Corolla Cross. All right, guys, business time. Behind the wheel of the Corolla Cross, there's all the seat controls for the electric assist. Like I said, 10-way adjustable seats. Feel so good for those longer trips. Steering wheel, another familiar piece. Just like in the RAV4, just like in the Corolla, nice thick rim. You have your flat black on the buttons. Little bit of silver. It is manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then when you go XLE, what are you getting? You're getting that 7-inch digital display. There's a cornucopia of information you could scroll through, and then you have an analog tach, analog fuel gauge, and analog coolant gauge. Now, the one thing that I was hoping for was maybe just a little bit separation from the Corolla when it comes to the steering wheel, but Toyota really focuses on making this familiar as soon as you get into it. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the back seat and see how it stacks up space for a small crossover SUV. All right, guys, back seat time, and I'm telling you, Toyota did some amazing magic back here, the designers and engineers, because I am 6 feet tall, in case you forgot. I know you maybe never heard that before, but I got plenty of headroom back here. Unbelievable how they carved out the headliner, really give you lots of room. Backs of the seats, you're gonna get that soft-tex material. Now the bad news is, the zonk is that there's no pocket For the passenger behind the driver, you can hear the sirens going off because guess what? We're having a Corolla Cross parade through downtown Austin, believe it or not. It's really exciting. We're throwing candy, beads, and everything else. But look at this. You're gonna be thrown some AC vents. All trims standard come with rear AC, and down below, you're gonna have USB and a USB-C. So they got you covered connectivity-wise. Now comparing this to the RAV4, nice to have the standard rear AC vents. Definitely nice to have a USB and a USB-C for connectivity. I have a pocket over here. They gave us an official Toyota umbrella, which I'm not gonna open it up in here because that's gonna give me like, I think it's like 10 years bad luck if you open an umbrella inside. What I'm gonna put here though is maybe a nice, I don't know, maybe a bison burger. There's a freaking burger place right down the street from this parking garage. I'm hungry. I put my bison burger right in there. It's a little bit more lean than beef. And it's got a great taste. So, but I'll put this back in there till we get my burger. We got it. There is an armrest. Nice soft touch, developed by the folks over at Charmin. 2 cup holders, and I like the way they did the two-tone back here, just like up front. But let's get to the cargo area, see how it stacks up against that RAV4. All right, guys, time to get into that cargo area. You're just gonna hit the button right underneath the Toyota badge. It does have electric assist on that XLE trim. And what's wonderful, because we have a front-wheel drive example, you're actually gonna get more cargo space. Now, what you're looking at with the seats up, and remember, this is a tad smaller than the RAV4. You're looking at 25.5 cubic feet of space on the front-wheel drive version. I love the way the loading floor is nice and low, gives you a raised edge, so you're not gonna have, you know, you go to the farmer's market, you get cantaloupes and watermelons, you park on a hill, you open up the hatch, and there goes everything down the street. You're running after it. You're not gonna have to worry about that. You can see the large JBL subwoofer. Remember, we were talking about that JBL optional premium sound system on the XLE trim. You're gonna get that nice large subwoofer, and you actually have a large enough area for a gallon of milk. What I would put is a gallon of chocolate milk. They still sell it. Drop it in there. Make sure you have some Twinkies, of course, which there's plenty of room back here. Lift this cargo floor up. You do have a spare, which is starting to get more and more rare. That rhymes. I was a poet and I didn't know it. And to fold the seats down, so simple. You're just gonna hit the button up top and push, and that actually shows you just how much space we have and how much lower that rear cargo area is, but large enough to do the Costco run. I know we were ready for a drive, but remember, you're gonna have to tune in, set your watch, set your alarm, paint it on a wall in your house. 7 a.m., September 8th, Eastern time. 7 a.m. Eastern time, September 8th. We're gonna do another review with a different XLE, all the fixings, including driving impressions and pricing. But if you're ready, I'm ready. It's hot up here. Let's wrap this one up. All right, guys, it's been a great time here in Austin, Texas. I definitely want to thank Zach, Nikki, Paul, and the whole Toyota USA team for inviting Raiti's Rides to this media event to get our hands on the Corolla Cross. Stay tuned for September 8th at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Mark your calendar, set your watch, get the sundial out for a full review with driving impressions and, of course, pricing special just for you. But let me know what you think. Is this really a great selection for that small crossover SUV? Does it bring more value for your money than the RAV4? Let me know what you think in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you on the channel, click the first link, become a Raiti's Rides Patreon member. Click the second link, get yourself some Raiti's Rides merch. Got to give it up to the queen of the camera. Not only is she the queen of the camera, but boy, oh boy, she selected the best filming location on this parking garage in downtown Austin. Show Lori some love in the comment section, or I'm coming after each and every one of you. Thank you, Lori, for busting your butt. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.